weird is if you bring cash like that, that's for sure illegal. But there was also those companies, I haven't seen any of these for in a while, I guess we're out of the industry now, that would go and they would pay someone like $300 or $500 if they signed a first right of refusal on their property. Whatever happened to those companies?
Yeah, well, hopefully they got litigated against.
Yeah, because that's like super, super sketchy. Because they would target the same people as us, and they would say, hey, we're going to give you zero value, but when you ultimately do have to sell that house, we're going to take all of your profit.
Yeah.
And it sucks to be you. What's going on, guys? Welcome to Collecting Keys. I'm your host, Mike DeHaan, here with Dan Austin and Dylan Cook. Show before Christmas. It's always a funny time in real estate, I feel like, around this time of year, because sometimes it's super slow, but also then you'll get like really frantic stuff that happens because everyone's trying to get closed before the holidays if they are trying to do anything.
There's nothing funny about it, dude. People are losing their homes right now because they can't sell them.
Yeah. I mean, that is definitely a thing that is happening.
I hope it's not happening.
Yeah.
I was thinking more of flippers, not consumers.
Well, yeah, I mean, some of that, but like we are seeing that with some of the consumers, although a lot of the headlines have been around the people that have been unable to sell. They're taking homes off the market as opposed to like fire selling, because there is that.
Yeah, nobody's fire selling.
Not really. Not unless they really have a major reason to.
Even some people that should.
I know.
Like some of the folks that we talk to on the lending side, some of the flippers where they're like trying to get into rental properties, or I'll just, instead of taking a quick loss or a small loss, I'm going to turn this into a rental property and make a big loss over a long period of time. It's like, it's a bad deal, dude.
But you can say you have a rental property owner now.
Now you can just throw in a bunch of paper equity on your balance sheet too. You're like, overinflate that.
So you're so right. And I don't know why, if this is a thing of like denial that people do, or they don't understand how to look at like the big picture. Because we have case after case of this right now of people that are, good flippers. Like they flip a lot of houses. They know what they're doing. And then they get like the one they can't sell. And they go, well, I'm going to make it a rental, but I'm still going to try to sell it like next year, like the year after. So what they end up doing is they refinance into a DSCR loan that's at like a 9% interest because they want no prepayment penalty. They don't want to bring anything to close. They like want it basically as lean as possible. Their credit sucks because they've been living off of maxed out Lowe's credit cards on all their rehabs for the last little while, right? So they get a loan that's like not that much cheaper than their hard money, and they're going to try to sell it again anyway. Like, just if you have the lower offer, just take it. Sure, you're going to lose 20 grand right now, but you're going to lose 35 when you sell it in April.
Yeah, because you usually don't have any cash flow to cover any of your expenses either. And you're going to pay longer. You're going to pay more property taxes, more insurance.
And not only that, you're paying all this money to get into the DSCR loan, right? To do the refinance.
A couple grand. Yeah.
That costs money, but people seem to ignore that because it comes out of like the quote unquote equity that they have. Right? It just gets wrapped into the loan. It's like, oh, it doesn't cost me anything. Actually, it does. It costs you a lot. So.
Yeah, a good case study of this personally was I refied a piece of property and I was going to then sell it on a land contract to somebody else. That land contract guy lasted one payment.
Oh, nice. No.
And I wished I would have sold it, but now I'm kind of like, well, fuck, like I don't really want to sell it now because I just did exactly what Mike described. So, I don't know what I'm going to do, but.
Damn it, dude. Did you kick the guy out?
Not yet. We're in the process of.
That's you idiot.
Yeah. I think the sunk cost bias is a really big issue that people tend to have in real estate because stuff does take a while. But like realistically, though, if I look back at the losses, Dan and I haven't had too many losses, just a couple. But if I look at them, we knew that they were going to happen way before they finally did. Right. And you'd always try to like find a way to get out of it or to change the destiny, that you had already set up for yourself. You just got to admit it.
Anytime shit gets weird, you're going to lose.
For sure. Well, I will say what is like the worst sort of situation to be in and what really, really just like hurts is when you're like mid rehab and you have a property that's like not sellable and you already know you're going to lose and you have to keep paying for more shit. That really sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, when do you draw the line? Do you actually try to finish a rehab until you can save, or do you just cut your losses and say, I know what I'm actually going to lose at this point is?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that's a hard thing to do because like if you go to the streets and you're bleeding, people are going to know that and you're going to really get taken to the cleaners with that.
You're going to get beat up.
The longer that you own a property, the more times the shit can go wrong.
I know.
It's just like, especially now with the winter, we had a property where the bottom half is vacant because it's still going through rehab, but it didn't have any heat to it. So it could get like the pipe, they didn't luckily, but the pipes could freeze. So that could cause other problems. So now it's just another mental thing too that you have to keep track of. Like, oh, I need to make sure this isn't happening. And it's just, it can get, the more that you do it one time, unless you have the pieces in place, it takes up a lot of mental headspace and get convoluted pretty quick.
Yeah. I think that if you are somebody that is an active acquirer of properties, you're actively flipping properties, you're buying like several houses a month. If you have like the dud, just eat it, just get your money back, move on to the next one. And it sucks. It'll hurt your pride. You'll have a good story you can tell people later. Just focus on that piece instead.
Yeah. You can start with that. I lost all of it in 2025.
Yeah. As you tell the story on different things, like the amount that you lost just gets bigger and bigger and bigger over time until one point in one of the stories, you're a junkie for some reason. You came from a really nice family, but for this particular show, you're going to talk about your addiction problems. So
what if you don't have money to bring to the table?
That's a great question.
When you sell it.
Yeah. And so that is something that can happen, right? Where you're so far underwater on your loan or on the property that you have to bring money to pay it off. Like, what do you do? So this is one of the big reasons I'm super against like interest reserves as a lender, but also as a borrower too. Like, yeah, it's nice to not have to make a monthly payment, but also you can get into a situation where you are now underwater on the deal. You have no equity because the interest has just been added onto your loan principal over and over and over again for a period of time. And then you get to the closing table, you finally sold it, you're going to lose, and you have to bring 25 grand to closing. Your options are now either to pay all the payments that you pushed off when you're in probably a worse situation than you were before, or B, destroy your hard money lending relationship and tell them, hey, sorry guys, you're fucked and give you the house back. If it's a like individual, I guess you upset that person, that's whatever. If it's an institution, they're going to foreclose. They can put that shit on your credit. You're not going to get a loan ever again. Like, well, at least for the next 7 years, you're completely screwed, right?
I know some guys will give them a loan.
Yeah, PMC. It's fucking crooks. As long as you're an illegal immigrant and you have no money, then they'll definitely give you a loan so they can take your house back.
I mean, I don't know if you can say that out loud.
That's what they do.
I know. I just said, I don't know if you can say that out loud.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Even better. You know what they do? Pacific Mortgage Company in Spokane. They will sell them the property for way too high of a price that they own to the new investor that's from a different country that has no idea what they're doing. They will give them the loan at 100% for the fees that are basically maxed out to the highest possible usury rates, have them pay all this money up front, plus make these payments, and then they take the property back and sell it to the next schmuck. That's what they do. And they're criminals.
There you go. What a great business model.
And fuck those guys. They are the worst people in the industry. And there's a whole ring of them here. And I will gladly list them off by name and go punch them each in the face if I ever see them.
Well, good. We got Mike heated.
I mean, I'm not going to go that far.
Yeah, it's true. I'm not going to assault anybody. I'll take that back.
But that was a little tense.
But I will definitely talk trash about them because, dude, they've screwed over a lot of people.
Well, we've seen even like, in the wholesale, the off-market business, since you guys are retired, we've had a lot of deals lately, especially, and I know like they're underwater. They have to short sale. There's no way for us to make it work. And like, if they go to market, they'll be lucky to like break even. So a lot of these places or transactions took place 2021, 2022, some in 2023. And it's like they got stretched at the beginning and now, the market hasn't been in their favor since then.
Yeah. I mean, that is the nature of it. And the real answer is what you have to do is negotiate with the lender. You have to let the property go.
Yeah. Yep. U.S. Bank, that's who I'll throw under the bus. They've been notorious for being off. Obviously they're a huge bank, but like they're always terrible to deal with.
They are not good to deal with. I can attest to that.
Foreclosures, I mean, this is a data point that we can touch on regarding a similar subject. It was like November of 2025 was up 20% higher than November of 2024.
Foreclosures of single families?
Foreclosures, like nationwide foreclosure. But most like this says, according to Adam, the data provider, highest in Delaware, South Carolina, New Jersey, and Florida.
That doesn't surprise me.
That's kind of like, it's kind of sporadic though.
Jersey surprises me a little bit because they were such a good market in the beginning of the year, comparatively speaking to the rest of the country. Is there a trend line here? What is that in terms of the long-term trend lines?
Well, I mean, it's kind of gradually gone up since 2022, 2023, but that, the slope of that line is the biggest between the last year.
I feel like that doesn't count. Maybe like a 10-year time horizon.
Maybe. I don't know.
Anything between 2020 and 2022 like just doesn't count.
Yeah.
As far as like a long-term data set.
Well, it's hard to base things off of, people who got 3% rates.
You can't base any trend lines off the highest peak point and the lowest peak point. Those have to average out, right?
I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
I think it is kind of empirical to say, hey, the people who even bought at 3% rates are struggling.
Oh, right. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Well, I mean, and a big part of that is because now the tax increases have come, the insurance increases have come, like the actual cost of owning the house has increased a lot.
Right.
And back then they were still getting people approved for these houses on like a shoestring level, right? Where it's like, well, your debt to income is $17 there, you're barely going to make it. Like, don't go and buy too many groceries this week or you're not going to qualify.
Right. And I think the story with that is like, that's an extreme way to buy properties, and maybe having low interest rates isn't the best way. It's not a balanced market. Like 0% interest rates is not like a balanced market. And so everything's going to pull back to the long-term trend lines, because you're going to have super high values because of low interest rates, and all that shit shakes back out. And guess what? High values come with higher taxes. Guess what? That comes with higher insurance premiums in a time that insurance is wacky anyways. All costs are going up because of that 0% interest rate environment, right? The reason why insurance is going up is partially due to weather events like in these places like Florida, but also because the cost of rebuilding structures has gone up because inflation has been driven up by a long-term 0% interest rate environment.
I mean, that's a big part of it. And also, too, a lot of those insurance companies, they hold a lot of their reserves in commercial real estate assets that have plummeted in value.
Yeah. If they have to mark to market it, their balance sheet looks awful, which I don't think they have to. I don't think they have to until it actually trades hands.
Yeah.
I think a big driver is like the two big drivers like are the actual drivers, or like the weather events in these certain areas are driving costs up, and inflation it just is what it is. It hurts everybody.
Yeah. And I mean, there is also a piece where people have to pay for it, so they can kind of charge whatever they want, right? Up to a certain level.
Mike, with you being, I think the audience members know this, I guess a little bit more left wing than most, real estate investors. What's your opinion on, I guess, regulations around development, around like building new housing? That's a very broad question, but
yeah, I mean, that's like super broad, right? Because there's the multiple pieces of that. Because there's the actual like land piece of it, which is one question. And there's the actual like building piece, which is like where you talk about density and those kind of things, which I think is very, very different.
Density. And like my biggest thing when I think of this, because I see this locally, is people claim quote unquote affordable housing and they get these like tax credits and stuff, but they just build shit boxes.
They build shit boxes, yeah.
And they're still, I wouldn't call them affordable. Like they're still like at market rents. So I don't know.
Well, the problem is kind of to Dan's point, the cost to build everything is so high. Cost of debt is relatively high as well. Now, it's not fruitful to build affordable housing.
Agreed.
That is like that's not even an opinion. That's a mathematical fact.
Wait, it is fruitful for the people building it. Let's be honest there. When you say affordable, when you use affordable housing term.
If they're getting like tax credits and stuff, like, some off the book stuff, but if you just go straight P&L, I don't think it is. Like if you have to build it 200 square foot.
Yeah, if you look at straight P&L.
When you say housing that's affordable to all Americans, I guess that's what I would.
Yeah, well, because that's where the main gap is in housing, right? Is the lower income group. Like that's what they mean when they talk about affordable housing.
Yeah, but like those people that are building the affordable housing are making a shit ton of money doing it.
Are they?
Because they are building it, yeah.
You're talking about the builders, not the owners. Yeah, like the contractors building it.
Yeah, no, because the owners don't get to own it, dude. It's the government owning affordable housing, right? Well, that's the idea, right? And then they somehow maybe turn it over in some scenarios. But yeah, when I think of like the affordable housing, like actual affordable housing that's not getting token, the token term, but like houses that working Americans that may be asset limited can actually afford to live in and pay their own way. It doesn't exist unless you are a $1 billion hedge fund and you have the ability to do that because they are building them cheap enough. But guess what? They can drive the costs up to where it's not affordable for Americans to own that home long term.
I mean, there are so many homes in Cincinnati that are brick, Cape Cod, 3-bed, 1.5 baths, 1,200 square feet, 1-car garage underneath. Like there's literally neighborhoods for all these things. No one is building those anywhere anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's all stick, it's all wood construction. They're 2-story, but they're 1,600 square feet.
Ugly shit box. Ugly.
Yeah. It's just a rectangle with a driveway in the front. And I just like, they still sell for, I don't know, a new build here, 300, 350 in a certain neighborhoods.
Yeah. Here, 400 here.
So I think that's the difference is if you look at, first home I bought in Spokane back in, 2017 was a spec home, like a cheaply built spec home. I bought it for $200,000.
That's crazy. That's such a good price.
Which is crazy, right? I sold that same house 2 years ago for $530,000.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Okay. I bought it literally for, it was $205,000. I sold it for $530 from 2017 to 2023 when I bought it.
Were you married then? Well, I guess when you sold it.
When I sold it, yes.
Because then you get the whole cap gains for free. Mm-hmm. So my question.
Yeah. So the thing doubled in value essentially. So now they are building those similar style houses to the one that I did, but they are on lots that are slightly smaller and the houses are basically butted up against each other. We had like a big yard and stuff.
Yeah.
And that same house now is going off the comps of mine that just sold. And so now that new build starter home that was the affordable home is at that $500,000 price point here.
Yeah.
Right. But like it's a cheaply constructed house. Like I remember being in that thing and like when we would open the garage, dude, like, cause it was a split level. So we were upstairs. You'd open the garage and it would like wake up anybody that was sleeping in the house because it was so freaking loud coming through the floor.
So loud.
Yeah. No insulation really anywhere besides the exterior. It's these 2x4s.
Bare minimum construction standard.
Yeah. If we were in our upstairs, like kitchen and like the neighbors outside on their patio were having a conversation, you could hear them.
Yeah. Right.
That's sort of like how poorly it was. And like the heat and everything was weird. But so like, but that's now a $500,000 house. That was the affordable housing 7 years ago.
Every developer I've ever talked to, though, they want density. Right now, they want these lot sizes that are, super tight so they can build more houses in one geographical footprint. It's really hard to get, half acre new build. Unless they're luxury homes.
Yeah, which I think is fine. Like, you asked my opinion on that. I think that's what we should be going is more density apartments, things like that. The problem is they have to be built in a way that it isn't like people just taking advantage of the government, like Dan said, where they're the contractor that just also happens to be the mayor's kid, and they're building this thing for 180% or more, probably 300% what it actually costs to build. And so it takes a bunch of extra money. And then also too, if they're going to have it be like open market for things where like it's not subsidized rentals, but the young couple that moved there, they may both have 2 starter jobs, they can't afford to buy a home or whatever. One of the issues with a lot of these places is they tend to like put them in the parts of town that no one wants to be in. Right. So like they're in like the super like shitty parts because they're trying to create density within the town, which I think is fine. It's just you need to actually look at like the big picture. You can't just say like, well, we have this lot downtown. Let's build this starter home apartment complex. But it also happens to be across the street from the homeless shelter. And like by where all the meth heads live.
I think that's a twofold development decision by the city. Why did they let a homeless shelter exist down there anyways? Spokane, I don't know how it is in other downtowns, but Spokane has a particularly bad standard around allowing that because you're right, it is a problem. And then they're like, we're going to make tax incentives for developers to build in the worst part of town right across from the shelter.
I know. It's an issue. And I think it's managing expectations for people as well, because there's also a lot of people that feel entitled when they become an adult and they start earning money that they're like, I want to have my own house with space and, I want to have like half an acre or an acre or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like you don't get that shit when you're 26.
Not anymore, you don't. In the 70s.
This is the boomers that here. We didn't have, flat screen TVs. We had one TV in the house and like we had a family of 6 and 1,200 square feet and all this kind of stuff, which there is a little bit of an argument to that, but
for sure
it is different now.
The way I logic that argument is like how I try to like see both sides of it is that there is a lot more things for discretionary spending today than there were in the 60s, 70s, and even 80s.
Yeah,
there is
way more. I mean, you're paying to get your shit delivered to your house for food, for groceries, all this stuff. You have all these other things that just did not exist.
I wouldn't even say discretionary spending, right? There's a lot more like mandatory things, like a cell phone bill is a good example, right? Or like Wi-Fi. Yeah. Those are things that you need to have to function in modern society.
I'm going to go back to my old man thing of like how many people are walking around with $45 Stanley cups to drink water out of. That just was not a trend or even exist. It didn't even exist until like 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Like,
didn't even drink water 10 years ago. I'm pretty sure I went through college and the only time I drank water was when I was hungover. I was at the gym.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Totally.
But back to your point too, Mike, with that, there's a lot, the capitalism, this is where it does hurt, right? Is everything's more subscription based, right? So you do have internet, you do have self-service. I mean, they're converting cars as they can into subscription based now. You know what I mean? Not the lease itself, but the technology that's in the car, you can pay monthly for it. Like, oh, you want to be able to unlock your car today? It's $199.
Yeah, I forget which car brand it was, but in order to use like the remote start feature, it was a monthly subscription you had to pay.
That's my mother-in-law has a Kia, and I know it's like that. She has like the Kia with all like the high-end stuff in it.
Kia should be like a monthly subscription, not to get stolen.
I know, right? Yeah, right. Yeah. Every now and then, like the mafia just comes to like, are you paying your subscription?
Yeah.
We won't take your car today.
Yeah, I'm gonna break your kneecap.
The telltale example of this is like Austin, Texas, right? Because everyone like puts the Zillow map up. It's like, look, they overbuilt and now people are giving away their rents for free. You get 2 months free concessions. And, and then the counter to that is New York, where they have all the rent controls and stuff. It's just, I'm not asking for an answer here, but I think that is the difference of opinion is good to talk about.
Fundamentally, what I dislike, and just my personal opinion, is I dislike the American standard of everything becoming sprawl, right? And stuff just gets further and further and further away from the city center. And that's how they do affordable housing, is they build like another cookie cutter neighborhood, another cookie cutter number. And there's, cities all over the country that like that is the entire thing, right? Even like LA. LA doesn't really have a downtown. It's basically just like sprawl for as long as the eye can see.
LA is nuts.
And I would say if things are around for a while, they start to develop their little like subcultures. But I do think in smaller towns, which is most cities in America, that tends to detract from the actual culture that can exist there.
Yeah.
And instead, what it does is it creates these microcultures around things like people's churches, neighborhood HOAs, all these sort of things, which in my mind is not like a healthy way to have like a country and a society, because it creates an echo chamber that's based off of like literally people that are within 100 yards of you or like a mile of you.
Yeah.
And I don't personally think that that's a great way for any country to sort of be set up if you want any sort of uniformity, right? Or you want any sort of, people to commingle.
So if everybody like thought the exact same way, that's what you're saying? Because they lived in the same city?
Well, no, I'm saying that's what happens is people end up in like their own little blocks of where everyone does think exactly the same way, right?
Yeah, I think that's going to happen anyways, because if you think about it, just think about the political spectrum. Like if you go to any major densely populated city, this is my theory, is they're typically blue, right? Like even if in a red state, you'll see a populated city is blue. And because when you live in a tightly packed area, you have to rely on infrastructure and government more than you do in a more rural area, more sprawled area, because you have to, if the sewer backs up, you're fucked. Like everybody there is fucked. So they have to rely more on government, which typically would be a more democratic view, right? More government, more infrastructure, more community around supporting us. And so I think the argument for me would be is you would have less diversity if you had to be that way, because then everybody's living together as opposed to in different cities or different areas. I agree in a sense with you on the urban sprawl thing. I just don't agree on the ideology piece of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's always tough to say, because if you look at like the larger, like the most blended cities, place like New York City, like the prime example, where everything is so densely packed, you don't see a lot of the same issues around.
I mean, people murder each other there.
People murder each other, but that's also because you're on top of each other. They go fucking crazy.
Exactly. Well, it's easy picking
For
is
sure.
what it is, right?
But I don't know. I think fundamentally, I don't like the sprawl. I also think that it creates a lower...
I think it reduces culture is what it does.
It reduces culture, and there is like less opportunity to, I would say, like work like a decent job. There's less like life satisfactions. People are commuting. People have like less options for like to participate in different things.
You know where is a great example of this, and this I think speaks to why this is, and the reason why it's like this in the U.S. is because we have more land than any fucking country, right?
Yeah.
So it's cheaper and easier, and that's how capitalism is always going to find that. When you fly into Vegas or you fly into Phoenix, and all you see is flat brown desert, and then you just see another block. It's just an extension of the road infrastructure, and it's just like a square block with like 500 more houses in it, and you can see in 5 years from now, and it's just going to keep going because there's no incentive from the builder standpoint to do that, because building up usually costs more, right? So like, I'll just buy this cheap dirt land, and every time they can add an extension to the sewer system, they just keep going on out.
Yeah, I personally don't like that setup. Because like, for example, when we were in Scottsdale, we did the first KeysCon event a couple of years ago. We're like, yeah, well, we know we got this Airbnb. That's cool. We're going to go set up to play
So
fucking Top Golf. We had a whole group go play golf.
Top golf,
It's in Scottsdale. It can't be that far away. No, an hour.
Yeah.
There's 2 Top Golfs in Phoenix area too, by the way.
We went to the close one. Yeah.
Close one.
And it wasn't just like we're going through traffic. We were on the highway for 55 minutes of that hour in the same city.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like, that's ridiculous. Why is it like that,
Well, that's why it's honestly, here's the thing on that sort of stuff. Is it, and Stacey and I talk about this all the time, is like, it's really hard to find your home in a city like that.
It is.
Phoenix is a great example because it's almost all looks the same. It's all brown shopping centers and brown houses that are usually 1 to 2 stories. There's nothing tall. I mean, downtown has some tall skyscrapers and stuff, but generally speaking, the sprawl. So it's like, do I live in North Scottsdale? Do I live in Old Scottsdale? Do I live in Mesa? It all looks the same. It's like really hard to envision that being like a place you would call home.
Slightly different way of what I was saying before is then what happens if you do end up in those areas, because it's all the same brown houses in the same part of town or whatever, your home, right, your community becomes whoever just happens to live directly around you. And it's very, very hard to branch outside of that because nothing is accessible. You can't walk anywhere.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
You can't really travel anywhere unless you're willing to commit serious time
Yeah.
to do that, right? And make that part of your routine.
There's a book that you guys can both read for homework. It's called Strong Towns and talks about a lot of this. It talks about like the culture aspect of like his synopsis was he likes new builds that are like kind of the mixed use at bottom and apartments up top. But you don't have like the big name like franchise like a Subway or something. You have like local people there have like their own bakery and shit. But he goes to the numbers of, when developers build this stuff, like you said, Dan, they attach to the sewer line. They put in their own waterworks and stuff. But then once they sell the development, that maintenance is now in the city. And so, they don't really have the incentive to do it right the first time. And then these things only have 10 to 15 year half-lives, but developer gets off kind of scot-free. And then the city just has this permanent liability so they could build more housing. Anyway, like it's good.
Where Mike and I live is a great example of that. And this is the thing that I hate so much about the area specific that Mike and I live in. There's only, what it'd be like, basically like 4 main roads for all the housing up here. And then all of the rest of it's filled in with dead end development. So you can't easily navigate. Like you could live feasibly right next to somebody, like literally next door, and you have to drive 5 minutes around your development to go back into their development to go to their house if you're driving.
Yeah.
See, that seems dumb to me.
It's really dumb.
It's so dumb. And it's terrible city planning. And in my opinion, it's not the developer's fault. Sure, they're doing what like the shittiest thing ever and it's the cheapest, most efficient way to do it. But it's the city or the county who approves that. Like that's their fault for having such bad planning and visioning for their city. Because not all cities are like that. Like some of these master plan cities that were built, they have like those mixed use. We kind of have like a master planned neighborhood, Mike, down like where Kendall Yards is at, kind of near our downtown. That was set up and planned from the beginning to be its own community, has everything it would need to support it. You can do that. It just takes planning and effort and not some loser city planner just approving something.
The problem is that had to have happened so long ago, right? And it would have had to have been from people that already understood that, which is when you're in a newer cities, particularly out in the Pacific Northwest, where all the cities are from like the late 1800s at the latest. Washington wasn't even a state until like 1890?
Probably somewhere in there, yeah.
Yeah. So like no one had moved out here had learned those lessons. Like if you're talking to like the larger metros in like the Northeast, they'd already had people that had been sort of figuring this stuff out forever. But I don't know. And then like it makes it so tough too from like a real estate investment standpoint, because what happens when you're in these sort of sprawl focused areas is you have all these developers that are incentivized to make it so that only they can develop houses and nobody else can, because then they can basically restrict the supply of it. Because if they don't do that, then essentially everyone could go out and start building houses, and now you have an oversupply and the values go down.
Well, that goes back to the national home builders on that point, is that they do land bank in areas. And so they can, and they did it in Spokane when they moved in here within inside of 5 years, they basically, they bought hundreds and thousands of acres and are developing them as they want. So they're kind of squeezing it out, and they can come in with the cheapest product no matter what, because they can adjust their interest rates. They can do all sorts of stuff. Yeah. And then they become kind of the sole developer. And that's what's happened, particularly in Spokane. Talking to a lot of these builders, like it's really hard to just be a builder that does 3 or 4 houses a year. Yeah.
And I would imagine there's a lot of other cities that are very, very similar to that.
Totally. Yeah. Because we're new to that game.
And it makes the whole thing artificial.
Who was the president that like the highway initiative? Was it? I don't want to say because I'll forget.
It was post World War II because during the Cold War.
Yeah. But there's a highway that runs through I-75 runs through downtown Cincinnati. This is what it used to look like. And this is what it looks like now. And what it used to looks so much better than what it looks like now, at least aesthetically, right?
Really?
But then this is like, you get into logistics companies, you could be anywhere, but I don't know, like there was obviously positive to that, but there's also some negatives that no one really talked about for a very long time.
Yeah. It was Eisenhower too, by the way, that did that.
I was going to say that, but I didn't want to be wrong on there.
Great president.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that like big picture, the density is the thing that we need. And then there has to be a cultural change where people just become more comfortable with that.
Yeah. No one's going to put on Instagram, I just bought my $250,000 3-bed, 1.5 bath house. Though, like, I think that's part of it. Yeah. I think the social media aspect is part of it.
Well, also too, I think that there's a whole new generation now that doesn't necessarily want to own homes.
Sure. Yeah.
Because like there's certain things that are millennial flexes, you'll see this say. And it's very like homely sort of stuff that's kind of pointless. And so I'll see like jokes about this and it'll be like, oh, I got my new garage fridge and it's like perfectly lined up with like drinks. That's such like our generation sort of like flex, like that's fucking sweet, right? Or
yeah, got some Celsius in there, some beers, some leftovers from Friday night.
Like something like that, or people that I'm trying to think what some of the ones I've seen that are kind of weird. If you have like a setup in your garage where you can like move around and have like a beer pong table out there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or a full fucking commercial gym.
That's the new flex.
I'm talking about Mike here.
Stuff that, if you have your own home is like very sort of easy to do, but if you're like renting like an apartment or something isn't. And Gen Z sort of people don't really care about that because what they really want is they want security, right? Which you can generally get in an apartment. They want mobility. They want flexibility. They don't really care about having their place, it seems like, quite as much. I know they've been doing studies on this as well. Because a lot of them have like commitment issues and different things too. So they want to be able to like change their mind. And buying a house is definitely not something that you can just change super easily.
Yeah.
I think at least for me, and maybe this is a small minority of people, but like pursuing a wealthier life is not even on the radar for a lot of these like younger kids, I feel like.
Or their standards for what wealth is significantly higher. There was that study that was going around for a while, and it was like, what is considered a good salary? And
oh yeah,
Gen Z's was like $700,000. It was like so high. Like that was what they considered like good. And then like baby boomers were super low. It was like 110,000. Millennials was like 250. And so it was like so much larger because that's just how their view of success and money has been skewed by social media, and they're following all the YouTubers that are like their age that are printing all this money. They have like the chick they went to high school with that started an OnlyFans that made fucking $3 million last year, right? Like you have all these different sort of scenarios where people can make a lot of money. That's an extreme minority of the population. But when they are doing it in a way that feels so personal, it's hard to understand the difference between them and you.
And it happens so quick to them
so
too.
Quick.
Like they're literally overnight success. Like that's a cliche term in business, but like they're literally overnight like successes.
For sure. The 20-year-old OnlyFans chick making several $1 million. I really hope that she doesn't have a 10-year origin story because that's fucking problematic. Like honestly, that's super problematic. She doesn't have the rags the riches hustle.
You got to perfect your talents, dude.
Jesus Christ.
You got to perfect it.
Last question, then we'll jump off here. Do you guys have an office for your lending business?
No.
We pay for one.
Well, it's part of our split from Back at Home Buyers. We still have a lease for the next 6 months.
We have a rug in there that says Sir Lenzel.
Yeah, we talked about getting one, but then when we were trying to hire more, we couldn't find any local talent. So we ended up hiring a bunch of overseas talent, so it just doesn't make sense.
We looked at one recently. I don't know. There's pros and cons for us, but yeah, none of we have one staff member that lives here in Spokane.
Gotcha. We haven't signed the lease yet, but I think we're going to for the following year. And I don't know. I've always gone back and forth on this and like staying lean and, minimizing overhead. The intangible side of that is, okay, you can build off momentum in the office. You have a dedicated workspace instead of, up in our spare bedroom. And so we'll see how it goes. I don't know.
How many staff members? Do you just have one?
So one acquisitions guy, and then I have that part-time assistant that's local. But then I just made the acquisition guy commission only.
So his time's numbered.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if I get...
Mike is saying that.
I could have room to bring on more people without increasing overhead.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's really hard when you're a small company because so there's 3 people in the office. One person doesn't show up. You don't want to go on that day. You have your kid has a doctor appointment, right? And now it's just the assistant and the AM. And the AM's like, well, this is awkward. So I'm going to go walk a house. And they leave. Now the assistant's just like sitting there like on their computer part-time.
Yeah, I mean, that shit might happen, but I also think like it builds, like if they Google our, our name, our business name or whatever, like it's a great part of town. So like it might just build some credibility, and there's definitely pros and cons. I'm not saying there's not trade-offs. We'll figure it out if it's worth it.
Yeah. Like our office that we had for Back at Home Buyers is sweet. It was like a condo loft downtown, walking distance of stuff. It was great to like, people were there. They wanted to go meet for coffee, just like walk down. You'd be like, oh yeah, come back, check out the office. It was a cool setup.
Yeah.
But like, we just don't really have the people for it. And we were originally trying to find a bunch of people locally. And then our plan was to have an office we could have everyone in, and it just didn't work out that way. And so, right now we're just paying our share of the lease until it expires here in 6 months. And then what the new owners of that company decide to do is up to them.
Sure. Yeah. So no plans for like in the near future, I guess, for the lending company.
That's kind of challenging. I don't know. I almost like this concept, and I'll test this on the group, is like WeWork concept, less WeWork though, but more like let's rent it by the week or the day, where if you have a local staff, you can kind of meet up there, and you don't even have like, you could pay like a monthly subscription and use the meeting rooms. I don't know. Like, I feel like something like that is actually makes more sense for us at this point.
Yeah. Or like, personally, honestly, what I would like to do is have a place that we owned that we could sublease out to other people that we're trying to do that model, that we're like a smaller company, right? Because then covers the overhead. You own an asset, but then also you can have somewhere that your staff can come in and it's not like an empty place. Because I will tell you from having that office that we had, it sucked if you were like, you showed up and you're like, well, I guess I'm the only person here today. Why the fuck did I drive down here?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and there's also no other social aspect because this is just our office, right? Sure. There's nobody else to even interact with. And it's hard to work alone in a dark, like Mike and I's office didn't have a window.
That sounds awful.
In like a dark room by yourself where like I could just do this at home where I have a fucking pantry with food in it and snacks.
Yeah, there's nuances to it, but...
You want an office hack. You want to buy an office, rent out the spaces, cover your costs, and...
Wait. Okay, level 2.0 of that is I want there to be a gym in there. I want there to be a dope-ass coffee shop, a place I can get a craft cocktail. I want my whole life in there.
Okay.
Yeah, like that, the Collective place in Austin that I went.
That's
place is
what
sweet.
I want. That is what I want.
Yeah, it's like a super expensive gym, and they have like an entire like lifestyle thing, and they have these sweet offices. They have a podcast recording studio.
Is it called Field Collective?
It's just called Collective.
We have one of those in Cincinnati, and it's like the same thing you're describing. It's awesome. Don't get me wrong, but it's also like 40 minutes from my house. So
yeah, see, it's got to be convenient.
See, if we didn't have this damn urban sprawl, it could be downstairs.
Mike is 100% right on this.
I'm out in the suburbs, so like I get it. It's a real thing.
Yeah, you're out in the suburbs. You don't have a choice. That's how America works. Because you're not going to live downtown with the crackheads. Why would you do that? That's ridiculous.
You can't do that, dude. You got a kid now. You got to be in the suburbs.
Yeah,
that's what my wife thinks.
Exactly. Get that minivan too while you're at it.
No.
There's plus and minuses. I would say go in with like loose expectations, and then there's probably a 50-50 chance that in like 6 months, you're like, cool, now I'm just paying for this empty space that I'm not going to renew in like another 6 months.
We'll see.
What's the cost of your leases? Is super cheap? Like you're just getting like a...
To me, it'd be like $1,100.
Okay, so it's not that cheap. I was thinking if it was $400, but it's not super expensive either.
I mean, no, but it's almost 1,500 square feet, and I'm splitting it with another guy that's in the same business. And it's got this conference room. It's got 2 private baths. Like, it's nice. Like, don't get me wrong, it's nice.
That sounds really nice, actually.
And like also, you'll figure out if it's for you or not. You kind of don't know until you try it.
Exactly. Cool.
Right on, guys. Well, next week will be our last show for the year. So come check that out. We're going to do, we're going to call High, Low, Buffalo. Basically, we're going to talk about our highs for the year, lows for the years, and something that we did not expect. So it should be a pretty fun one. So definitely come and check that out next week, guys. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. And we'll talk to you guys next time.
See ya.
This episode is sponsored by Sir Lancelot LLC, also known as SLA Capital, which, if you didn't know, is Dan and I's private lending company. So yes, we are sponsoring our own show, but what you going to do about it? It is our private lending company that offers hard money and DSCR loans to real estate investors of all types. So you can be a new investor, an experienced investor. You can be buying flips. You can be buying rentals, whatever. We can do everything. And not only that, but the rates that we offer are just as competitive, if not cheaper, than pretty much every other company out there. So whatever big company you've been working with, bring us their term sheets and I guarantee you that we can probably beat it. We have the same connections they do. We just don't have all the overhead and middlemen. So if you want to come and check us out, go to slacapital.com/keys and I will know that you came from the show. And by seeing that you came from here, when you get to closing, you will save $500 on your first loan with us. So slacapital.com/keys, we would love to fund your next deal. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you want more from us, you can shoot us a follow on Instagram. I am at Mike_invest. Dan is at InvestorManDan. And Dylan is at Dylan_does_deals. Shoot us a follow and send us a DM to let us know what you think of the show.